let's see, we will go ahead and get started. So thank you all for being here, for joining us for today's Community Roundtable. We are discussing 24/7 access. I have three experts here who have experience with facility access. So gratefully, they are giving their time. They're going to answer a lot of questions for us today and go over their experience. So I'm just going to introduce everybody. We have Kevin Murphy. He's the Membership Experience Director at the Lake Anna YMCA. We have Jocelyn Jamrock. She is the Membership and Marketing Director at the Dow Bay Area Family YMCA. And we also have Charlie Myers, the CEO and Executive Director at the Grant County Family YMCA. So thank you all again for being here, giving your time, share your insights. We really appreciate it. So like I said, we do have a list of questions that we're going to go through today. They were actually sent in by a facility who is exploring 24/7 access. So I'm pretty excited to have these questions. I feel like they'll be super applicable. But if anybody watching has questions that we don't get to or just anything extra, please feel free to send those over in the Q&A feature, in the chat, however you need to, and we'll get those answered for you. So again, thank you all for being here. I'm Brittany with Community Rec Magazine, and I'll go ahead and get us started. So first question, I'm going to start off with Kevin. Can you just share a little bit about your membership structure for the 24/7 access? Just like, is it included with memberships, an add-on option? What are you working with?
Sure. So our 24-hour access is open to any of our members in our association. They have to be at least 18 years old and be in good standing with the YMCA, and it is free for them. There's no additional cost for somebody that's already a member.
Oh, awesome. Perfect. What about you, Jocelyn?
Well, that sounds vaguely familiar, Kevin. And so, yes, so we have a pretty intense waiver that members have to sign. So it's 18 and older only because our 24/7 area is not staffed. And we can talk about that further on. So once they sign the waiver, and it's also included with membership. So there's no additional fee to use our 24/7 access.
Nice. Yeah. And Charlie?
I guess I'll be the oddball of the group, and I guess we're money hungry over here. But so we do charge a small fee. It's a $25 annual fee that we charge, just like the others, 18-year-old plus. But it is a $25 add-on per adult that chooses to do the membership.
Okay, perfect. And I don't know, Charlie, did you mention who all was eligible for that?
Yeah, so any member that's 18 or older.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Yeah, and so kind of the next question, we're going to talk about your CRM. Can you share maybe who you use and how you're tracking usage? We'll start with Jocelyn this time.
So our operating system that we use here at RY is Daxco, and so many Ys are familiar with that program. We contacted them as experts in building access, and they suggested a program called Brevo. And so that is the program that we use. So the software is through them. They told us what scanner to purchase for the outside access scanner. And then we worked with kind of the three of us to fully integrate Brevo into Daxco to get access into the building after hours.
Okay, yeah, awesome. What about you, Charlie?
We also are Daxco operations. However, we do not use that for our 24-hour. So we'll sell the 24-hour access key fob through the Daxco to keep track of who has those access. But then we use BioStar 2, which is our CRM for the 24/7, which is our key fob system that they have. So it's a separate key fob than our standard key to get into the facility. So they're purchasing that key fob through that system.
Okay, yeah, and Kevin?
So just like Jocelyn, we also use Daxco and the Brevo system. We heard a lot of good things from Jocelyn about it and ended up choosing that. One of the key features that we like about that was the member's membership card can be used to let them in the door. There was no other key fobs or anything else required. And then when the membership terminated, the card would automatically stop working. So those were features for us that were very important that the Brevo system allowed.
Okay, perfect. And I think most of you already mentioned too how your members were accessing the facility. Kevin, you said the key card.
Yes. They have their membership card.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Charlie, did you mention key fob?
Yeah, so we sell a separate key fob to access the membership door.
Yeah. Okay. And Jocelyn, did you have something different? A scanner outside?
Nope, it's just the regular membership card. So one thing, if you're thinking about using whatever system it is, if it's not a separate fob system, we ran into a little hiccup with using the Brevo system, is that the scanner did not read barcodes that started with a letter, and our entire membership had barcodes that started with a letter. So part of the process to be eligible for 24/7 was to get a new card, which Daxco so graciously gave us a deal on, because literally our entire membership didn't have the right type of card. So just some hiccups that we had to work through and didn't think of until it was like, oh my gosh, nobody can get in because the scanner doesn't read that type of barcode. So there's a hot tip for anyone that's looking to add 24/7 to their facility.
Yeah, no, that's a great suggestion. I wouldn't think about that. And so can you guys share maybe what your access, like your 24 access looks like, such as like busiest times and total usage? Kevin?
Sure. So we're pretty new. We started in March with 24-hour access. So we didn't quite know what we were expecting at first. July was our busiest month so far. We had 1,600 visits in July, with 137 of those being on the 4th of July. People use the facility day and night. So, there's people there right when we close. So 9 to 11 p.m., still fairly busy. 11 p.m. until 4 a.m., there's people at all hours of the night. It's amazing. And then again, from 4 a.m. to 5:30 a.m. when we open, also very busy.
Okay, yeah. Charlie?
Yeah, so our busiest times are very similar to Kevin's. I mean, that's right after we close, between that 9 and 11 o'clock, and then again, 4 a.m. right before the 5 a.m. crew comes in. We just started in May. So May 15th is when we started selling the fobs, and this access was on like the 20th is when we started getting access. We've currently 200 members are all that's accessed it or using that key fob system. On average, though, there's between 30 and 40 a night that are in there sometime throughout the night using the facility. So,
okay, cool. And Jocelyn, what about you?
So our facility opened in April of 2019. And so initially, I don't have exact numbers, but initially it was a little slower because I think it was just getting people to realize that it's okay to be in here after hours. Right away, it was popular with that. I think Kevin mentioned the 5 a.m. crowd. So our facility opens at 5. The way our room is set up, it's just a room that they have access to. And so there's, of course, bathroom facilities and that type of thing in there. But then when our building opens at 5, they can then exit that room inside the building. So we get people that'll come at 3, 4 o'clock, get their workout in. And then when we open at 5, they go take a shower and then get to work. And so we heard before we opened 24/7, we heard a lot of people that maybe had to be to work by 6. And so 5 a.m. wasn't, early enough for them to get their workout and get showered and then get to work. And so that group right away was popular. And then like right when we closed, so I think back then we closed at 9:30 and we had quite a few people until about midnight. And then of course there's always holidays. So, usage depends on, our regular hours of operation. So like we used to be open, most of the day on Christmas Eve. Well, now we don't have to do that because our members have an option to get their workout in, and then our staff can be home with their families, just as an example. So I just ran some quick usage reports before I got on today, and really on any given day, about a third of the visits are in the morning, and the other 2/3 are in the evening after we close.
Nice. And that was a great point you brought up about holidays. I didn't even think about that. That's super helpful for staff, I would imagine.
And it also allowed, like during the the reopening phases of the pandemic, we were able to kind of lean into our hours of operation and not have to try and be open until 9:30 every night like we were before, because we had less staff, less members. And so it really allowed us to kind of lean into it, but still have an option for people to come in and get a workout.
Yeah, definitely. And, one of the questions that we had was about a concern that people might have with offering the 24/7 access. So like the term piggybacking was brought up, or just like any issues with unauthorized use. So I wanted to see if you guys could share your experience with that, any kind of issues that you've encountered and how you're handling them. Start with you, Charlie.
Yeah, so piggybacking, or referred to as just bringing someone else in with you that's not necessarily a member or have access to the 24/7. Knock on wood, we've not had any issues with it, at least that we've caught. I mean, it's you're monitoring the camera systems and stuff like that. So that's one thing we did do, is install additional cameras in our area. But how do we handle that? I mean, it's written in our contract pretty clean. We'll give a verbal warning for the most part on that first time if they're caught. And then after that, they lose their 24-hour access. So what we saw is other issues is once they know you're monitoring it and the members know, the members that are down there help you make sure things are going right. It's not just you having to watch the cameras, because there's other members down there that want to make sure they still have that privilege to use the 24/7. So they're watching it very carefully for you.
Yeah, nice. I love that. What about you, Kevin?
Yeah, so I'm one of those people you call lifer, right? I've been with Y my entire career. And one thing about Y employees is we care very much about our buildings, right? And we never want to leave them. You know, if you would ask me 2 years ago if I'd ever feel comfortable leaving our YMCA at night without a staff member and having members in there and that sort of thing, I would have said absolutely not. There's no way. But we deal with those sort of things just like we would deal with any other situation with a member. You know, something that happened during the day. You know, we're going to, like Charlie said, we're going to give them a warning. You know, explain the policy to them. If they do it again, then we'll probably look at suspending them. We've had a few issues with, you know, people bringing their friends in. Most of the time it's innocent. Most of the time it's just people really just don't understand, or they think it'll be okay this one time. So we just follow up with a phone call or an email and say, hey, you know, please don't do that again. And so far we've had no issues at all, major issues. So
That's great. And what about you, Jocelyn?
Yeah, you have some people that will test the waters and you know, hold the door open for somebody. I will say right away when we started in 2019 until, you know, we had to close in 2020, it was very daily camera checks. It was very intense. We were calling all the time, really, because we knew we had to set that precedence, that it wasn't just a bunch of baloney that we were watching. We really were watching. So we would print out the usage report and make sure we at least watched when people were coming and going. Post-pandemic, when we reopened, we were asking people to scan their card when they left as well, because at that time we had to contact trace, and we wanted to know when you were coming in and when you were leaving. So we made sure we watched that. But, you know, same as the others. Sometimes people bring in a friend and you call and they're like, oh, I thought they were a member. Well, you knew they weren't a member and they're not. So please don't do that again. And typically it's not an issue. I think I've only had to revoke access for one person in the 3 years that we've done it.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
And one thing that's kind of, I just thought of that we've a couple times and just had to have conversations with them is just having a kid in with them.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that too.
Even if it's a little kid that's sitting off to the side, our policy is it's only you. You can't bring a kid in. You can't bring an infant in a carrier and still walk or anything like that. Just those little things that just had the quick phone call. Hey, just remember you can't do that, and they're fine with it. Not fine, but they understand. It also made sure that they knew we're watching too.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Yeah, Nick. Leads into our next section of just on safety and risk management. So we're kind of going to go through some of those topics. I want to see if each of you could describe just kind of the area that your facility is in, so we could kind of get a feel for that, whether it's like urban or rural, and just like how much of your facility is accessible during this, like the 24/7 access. Kevin, can we start with you?
Sure. So my YMCA is located in Barberton, Ohio. We're a very suburban community outside of Akron. Kind of medium income families. So our facility is fairly new. We're about 13 years old now. So our facility was constructed in a way that made it very conducive to opening it up for 24 hours. So our facility has our fitness center. We have a very big lobby that has ping pong tables and board games and all sorts of things in it. That's open with restrooms there. And also our basketball gym is open as well. So those 3 areas for our members to be able to use.
Okay, yeah. Jocelyn, what about your facility?
We're in Bay City, Michigan. So we are a town of, we're kind of all over the place as far as income and that sort of thing goes, but a lot of shift workers. We have a large hospital system here. So we're part of the Great Lakes Bay region. So it's Bay City, Saginaw, Midland, Mount Pleasant, those areas. And so we all different areas are, all cities are very different. We are within Bay City limits. We're right across the street from City Hall. So we rest right in between downtown and what they call uptown. And so we're right in the middle. We're kind of like a bridge between the two, which is really cool. And so our building is 97,000 square feet. It is a very, very open floor plan, open layout. And so we really wanted to think of a way to make 24/7 work without having our entire facility open and without having to have too many staff and have it be cost restrictive to offer the service for no additional fee to our membership. And so we had a room in the northeast corner of our building called the community room. And that was a really large room. We rented out for birthday parties, wedding showers, all different kinds of conferences and meetings. And so we took that space, remodeled it. And I think you said that you're going to share some photos when you send this link out to this webinar, but we remodeled that space, moved our IT room, moved an office, and kind of converted a hallway and made it our 24/7 area to be able to access that room, which I think is about, I don't know, my team is watching right now, and I know one person in particular will know, but I'm going to say 2,000 square feet-ish, so that our members can access just that room and not have access to the rest of the facility. It was really important for us to make sure that people use the main entrance during regular business hours and then use that entrance after. So there is one door that leads into that room from the inside of the building. So like that room's being used right now as a secondary or primary, depending on who you are, fitness floor. And then after hours, they'll just have access to that room.
And I was curious with that, because you said it was kind of changed into that. Does that include like restrooms? I know that was like a question that may be coming up. Is there like an access to like a specific restroom, or is that part of when they enter the building?
When we remodeled, we added 2 ADA, or I think one's ADA and one's kind of a regular restroom, large enough. There's a bench and there's some hooks, and then we added some cubbies inside that room with some hooks on the wall to store things. So no locker rooms by definition, but definitely large enough areas to change comfortably in and be able to sit down and change your shoes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was curious. And Charlie, what about your facility?
Yeah, so we're in Marion, Indiana, so 25,000-ish people in the city. Rural, I mean, we're in between Fort Wayne and Indy, so very rural county. Very low income, but some middle income also, but majority is a low income, kind of a more depressed type area. We're right in the downtown region of Marion, so we can see the courthouse from our front door. Our building was a newish building in 2008. So we took a historic Coliseum, which is the gymnasium, and added a YMCA around it. So access for the 24/7 is only the wellness wing, so which gives them access to all the equipment, but also our 2 studios, along with a restroom that's in that wing. So the nice thing about the facility, it was designed basically very similar to Kevin, is simple access to 24/7. There was already a gate that locked off that section of the building, and we had 1, 2, 3, 4 different exits down there. So we just took one of our exit doors and created our 24/7 access through that door. So while they're there, I guess I went into the next question, which is that okay or not?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I'll move right into the next question, but it was about how
moving that way.
Changing the facility in there. We did have to install additional cameras because there was only 1 camera in the area down there. So we went ahead and installed additional cameras in the studios, along with 4 additional cameras in the main wellness area. So then every corner of the building was able to be seen at any time. We also added an additional AED down there that's access, and the phone is now in a place that's not in an office area. Along with the typical first aid equipment, everything's all right there ready for them to have access to. Lights and stuff like that, we updated all those into LED lights to help with the energy costs down there, along with we're getting ready to switch those over to motion censored, so then they'll actually kick on and off versus relying on them to turn them off if there's no one else in the facility. And restrooms, typical, just one stall, large enough to very similar Jocelyn that they can change and stuff in. Already had the cubbies and stuff already down there for them. So it was pretty much turnkey. It's just getting the cameras and the key fobs ready for our 24/7 access.
Nice. Yeah, and Jocelyn, I'll jump back over to you because we did kind of start talking about with the bathrooms, and so yeah, the question is just like, what alterations did you have to make when you were transitioning?
So this was a big project for us. So our building just turned 10 years old. So we've been in Bay City almost 140 years, but this building is only about 10 years old. And so since we opened at the end of 2011, this 24/7 renovation was the largest project that we had done since the building opened. So it was somewhere between $350,000 and $400,000 renovation that we did. A big chunk of that was the equipment that we purchased to go in that room. So we got creative, and maybe we can touch on that later about what we did for equipment as far as what's in there, because it's just that room. But we also did lighting to make sure that the lights turn off, when no one's in there. We made sure that we had wired internet service in there, and more electrical, so our machines are all plug in, so we were sure that they would all work properly, things like that. And then of course the restrooms, fresh paint, we remodeled the ceiling, we busted out some walls, and did that sort of thing. And then also more cameras. So we have a lot of cameras in our building already. That room had, I think, one. So we have 2 on the entrance, 1 in the foyer area, and then 4 or 5 in the room, so that every corner is covered. Yep, like everybody else in.
Okay, yeah. And Kevin, what about you? Any alterations to the facility?
So we didn't have to do too many alterations to our facility. We did take an emergency door, turn that into our 24-hour access door. We were able to purchase 2 folding gates that we use to block off our main entrance to the building and also our locker room hallway, which leads to our aquatic center. Cameras, we did upgrade we had a great camera system already, so we just needed to add 4 new cameras. So that was great. And then one of our bigger expenses was adding some new outdoor lighting. We added to make sure our parking lot was nice and bright. The entryway walking up was nice and bright for people coming in. So overall, spent roughly about $9,000 on improvements.
It sounds like the overall consensus was a lot of cameras, which I could understand.
It's important. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, and we've kind of touched on this too, but so how has your opening and closing procedures changed? I know we kind of touched on the different, hours and when people are coming in, and I'll just kind of continue with you, Kevin, if you want to share how that has changed at your facility.
So it hasn't changed our closing procedures too much, other than the fact that at the end of the day, we have our closers stay a little longer, so they stay about 15 minutes longer. We ask everybody that's in our facility when we close to leave and come back in through the 24-hour door. And we have a staff member there that has a tablet logged into the Brevo system, and they can check to make sure that everyone coming into the facility should be there. As far as opening procedures, I think it's made it easier on my openers because they come in and the lights are already on, the TVs are on, the music's on. They literally just have to unlock a couple gates and get the coffee going. So it's been a really nice, easy transition for us.
Great. Okay. Yeah. And what about you, Charlie?
So identical to Kevin. I mean, the only thing that's really changed is have to make sure they lock the gates up when they close. But we do the same thing. We ask all of them to go out. We will open up the 24/7 door so they can go right outside and then key back in. We don't make them walk through the rest of the facility or anything, but we do make them go back out and scan back in.
Nice. I didn't even think about that part of the how you would track that. And Jocelyn, what about you?
The nice thing about Brevo is it's all set up in the software to turn that scanner on and off. So if you try and scan in during the day, like right now, for example, it'll be access denied. You won't be able to get in. And so that system, you know, the door that you badge into turns on and off automatically. And so like I just set up for Monday because it's Labor Day and I got reminded, hey, make sure the door is on all day. So here's your reminder, Charlie and Kevin, make sure your door is on all day for Monday. So you don't get a call up north or in the cabin. Yeah. And so for our openers, so we do have a foyer that is hard locked or not padlocked, what's the bolted to lock and unlock. So even if you happen to get into the 24/7 door from the outside during the day, you couldn't make it past the foyer because that next door is locked with a key. So our openers have to go in and lock that door, unlock the door into the building, and then closers need to do the opposite. They lock the door that goes into the 24/7 and unlock the foyer door. And we have learned that lesson on occasion, especially right away, was maybe you have a new closer and they lock up and leave and your members try and scan into 24/7, but the foyer door is still locked. So you're calling like, turn around and go back to the Y and unlock that foyer door. So yeah, so you just figure those things out, but not too much. The other thing is that the Brevo system doesn't completely talk to Daxco as far as usage goes. So you have usage reports in Brevo and then usage reports in Daxco. And right now they don't completely integrate. And so again, with the contact tracing and things like that, it was important for us to kind of take a tally and see who was in 24/7 at closing and then go into Daxco and check them in. Just so we knew that they were using the building. I think that might be changing soon or has changed where Brevo usage will show up on the Daxco facility report.
Okay. Yeah, and Charlie, you had hinted, so we're talking about like emergency procedures. So I know that was like another question. And you had mentioned some of the things like the AED and the phone that is in the facility. But I want to see if you all could share how you handle emergency situations or if you've even encountered them yet, or what the plan is in place for handling those if they were to come about. So I'll start with you, Charlie.
Yeah, so currently we've not had any emergencies in the facility going the 24/7. It's kind of clearly written out in the kind of the contract and stuff that they're signing that's the staff and the Y is not available to use the phone to call 911. We do encourage, though, if they're using any of the heavy weights, to have someone there with them just in case something was to happen. Yeah, so I'm thankful nothing's happened yet. If something does, we'll have to encounter some of that. I'm hoping it's not my opening shift finds anyone injured there, but usage, at least there's someone coming in the building almost every time. So we do encourage them to have their cell phones stuff on them, so then family, friends, stuff like that kind of know. Our local police department, 4 or 5 of them we've gave free access to, and encourage them. They are always in our parking lot just patrolling anyway and using our parking lot to fill out forms and stuff. So they'll actually come in and walk through the facility. We think that's helped some with our security also, just because they know that the department can come in anytime too. So there are some things we're doing just to help with that. But yeah, there's no staff there and none of us are staying up 24/7 right now watching the cameras either. So.
Right. I was like, you don't have a separate room where somebody's just watching the cameras 24/7.
Like Target.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Kevin, what about you?
Yeah, so whenever somebody signs up for a 24-hour membership, they sign the waiver, but then we take them on what we call a safety tour. So we actually take them back to the fitness center. We show them where the AED is located, the first aid. We had big magnets printed that have our emergency procedures on it with phone numbers to call in case of an emergency. And then, we show them the first aid kit. We have an emergency telephone that has our address above it in case they had to call 911. We've also, just like Charlie, given memberships to all of our police officers and firemen, so they all have an overnight membership for free if they want to come in and use the facility. We kind of joke with the police that they have their own basketball team that meets at 2 a.m. every day, but they say don't tell the chief. So that's been great. One thing that I've also done, we haven't had an emergency, but I've strategically given my cell phone number to those certain members, right? You have those certain members that come in every night, you trust them. And I know that if something happens and they come in and there's a broken pipe or something's awry, they're going to give me a call and just let me know that it's happening.
Yeah, that's great. I love the the police officer.
Yeah, they love it too. You know, it's great for them, and it encourages them to come in as well.
Yeah, night owls. All right, Jocelyn, what about you?
Yeah, we have the landline on the wall, you know, directions on what to do. I think my phone number or my email is somewhere nearby. But we were talking about this, just the 4 of us before the webinar started, was our best resource is our members. And so, you know, on occasion you're in that room alone, but oftentimes you're with somebody else. And so as far as a safety standpoint safety is concerned, you know, it seems like there's someone always nearby to help. We don't have like a first the call goes to this person and that person. There's, you know, you use the landline for 911. To Kevin's point, if they don't have your number, they can find you on Facebook. They can find you on Instagram, whatever means they need to find you. And then our first responders are really close to us. The police patrol every night through here several times a night. They know to call me if something happens or an alarm goes off. But, you know, it's really important to think about safety on the front end. And like our room, we have a lot of equipment. We have dumbbells and we have a Smith machine, but other than that, we don't have any free weights. And so it was really important for us to talk about what kind of equipment we were going to have in there, knowing that it was not going to be staffed. It's not staffed during the day or at night for us. And so to not put any equipment in there that someone could potentially really, really hurt themselves. And so the Smith machine is built just like cable machines are to, you know, to be safe. And so aside from the dumbbells and some kettlebells, there's no free weights in that area. And then our waiver is very intense. And I think I probably shared it with Kevin when we met about Akron opening up 24/7 as well. It's very intense. It was vetted by insurance and our lawyers. And so that would be a piece of advice I would give anyone who's thinking about taking a part of or you're building the 24/7 is make sure on the front end that you're talking about protecting yourself and your members and what you can do for safety before bad things happen. Knock on wood. Haven't had anything happen. Yeah. I don't even want to talk about it. I can't even believe you asked that.
I'm so sorry. Well, knock on wood.
It's fine.
All right. You did bring up something I wanted to ask about. I don't think that was actually in the list of questions, but you mentioned equipment because that's something that didn't even cross my mind either, especially as like a safety feature. So the not having like dumbbells, was there, I guess, could you just elaborate maybe on the equipment that you did pick for safety reasons? Yes.
So we have upstairs. So our fitness floor is on the 2nd floor of our building. So we had Cybex weight machines, you know, where you could pull it, for those of you that aren't familiar, you pull the pin out and put it in the weight, you know, and you can increase and decrease. There's instructions on the machine with pictures on how to properly use the machine and that sort of thing. So we had a full circuit of Cybex weight machines upstairs on our fitness floor. We brought those down to the 24/7 room. And then we replaced upstairs with hammer strength machines, which are very similar, but more updated. And so our members felt like they were getting a treat because hammer strength is really a step up, I think, anyway. And the people who loved the Cybex weight machines, it was a way to draw them into that room and make sure that that room gets some kind of usage during the day as well. So the Cybex weight machines are safe. We have the treadmills with the TVs and the right in them, and the ellipticals and the arc trainers with the TVs right in them. We have 2 or 3 step mills where the steps rotate and you climb the stairs to nowhere. And then we have some recumbent bikes and upright bicycles, and then a cable machine or 2. And so again, it was really important for us to be very intentional and thoughtful about what kinds of machines we put in there to make it as safe as possible. that room is jam-packed. I can't wait for you all to see the photo of it. It's beautiful. There is a lot of equipment. There's jump ropes and, you know, yoga mats and things like that too. So definitely enough to get a really great workout. And we've added some stuff too. We did not have an elliptical machine in there to start, and the people spoke and they needed an elliptical machine. So we got one and we moved it into that room. So there's some instances like that too, but definitely enough to get a good workout in.
Yeah, nice. Kevin or Charlie, did you all want to add to anything if you all were doing anything different in terms of equipment? Kevin's good. And what about you, Charlie?
So they have full access to our entire wellness along with our virtual area also. So we have Les Mills in one of our studios, so they have access to all that also.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, and so kind of moving on, a different safety aspect was cleaning. So I was curious about that too, how your kind of cleaning procedures have changed with the expanded access, anything you've learned or learned from. Kevin, can we start with you?
So we schedule a housekeeper that comes in at 5:30. So when the building opens, the first thing they do is always check the fitness center and the gym, make sure everything's picked up. On holidays, though, we ran into a situation where our first holiday was Easter, and we didn't think about having anybody come in to clean the facility. So we definitely did that for 4th of July. I just had somebody stop in, make sure that, you know, there was soap in the restrooms and all that sort of thing. So, but other than that, we've not had any type of housekeeping or maintenance issues at night.
Nice. Okay, yeah. And what about you, Charlie?
So yeah, we recently, right before 24/7, switched our housekeeping up. So we've hired in-house instead of having an outside source clean. So they start coming in at 3 a.m. So which is getting the facility pretty much cleaned up from any high usage, because the high usage usually is between 9 and midnight before anyone comes in the facility. So holiday wise, we learned first holiday also is, hey, we need to have some help. So we are actually just overstocking everything the night before a holiday, making sure all the stuff that they could possibly use is right there and handy. Extra towels, toilet paper, stuff like that is in an area that 24/7 members can access.
That's a great idea. Yeah. What about you, Jocelyn?
Yeah, it's just we are extremely fortunate. We have our own maintenance staff here in-house, and so that's during the day, and then our late shift I think comes in at like 5 p.m. or 7 p.m. And then they clean. We close right now at 8. They're usually here till 9 or 9:30, and so it's just part of like the daily cleaning. They make sure they clean it while our facility is still open, so that when we close at 8, it's very clean for those people that night. And then when they go in the morning at 5, they make sure they hit it right away. We have a black kind of rubber multi-purpose floor, which is great for a lot of reasons. Though really the worst maintenance issue we have so far is in the winter. We're in Michigan, and so the salt and the ice and the snow getting tracked in and all over the equipment is a big challenge. But I guess those are first world problems. And then on holidays we have, so like Monday, we'll have one person come in on Monday, and they get paid like a holiday pay, like a little bit extra for coming in on a holiday, just to make sure that, like Kevin said, the soap is full, there's toilet paper. Really the biggest maintenance issue that we've had thus far is people flushing very strange things down the toilet. And so we are fine, and then we find it like the next day. It's just very weird. But so far that's the only issue that we've had.
Yeah. Well, that leads greatly into the next question, which was
the real world.
Yeah, so handling maintenance issues after hours, which again, I could imagine, you know, what you might encounter. So, you know, if you've encountered any, or how you handle those, or how requests come in, I imagine it might be similar to your emergency situation, but if you guys have anything to share on maintenance issues after hours. Kevin?
So as part of our signage that we have hanging throughout the facility, we do have our emergency contact phone number, which leads to a voicemail. It sends me a message whenever there's a call on that. So somebody could leave that on there. It also goes to a generic email address for our branch, which I can check, which will allow us to know that there was some sort of issue.
Yeah. What about you, Charlie?
So ours and our waiver kind of states to them that no issues will be resolved until the next day when the normal business hours are open. So we let them know the hours that the director, staff, all the leadership team would be here, and that's when they are to notify us of any issues.
Gotcha. Jocelyn, did you have anything to add about maintenance issues after hours?
After the weird flushing things, no, we usually find out about it the next day, and yeah, it hasn't been an issue so far. You know, when we opened, I think it's worth mentioning, when we opened, or before we opened this area, we were really sure we wanted to do it. We wanted to talk to some people who had already done it, like everyone on this call is doing today. And so our CEO at the time reached out to several Ys, and we heard everything from, you know, homeless people squatting overnight and people like meeting up in the 24/7 area and some of those different things. So thank goodness we have not experienced any of that, or no kind of unauthorized use other than to work out. No other kind of extracurricular activities have happened in that sense. So, but it's just interesting how different communities experience, you know, different instances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely thought about that when, you know, kind of reaching out to you all in the areas that you're in. It was interesting when I was looking for facilities with 24/7 access in like bigger cities. I feel like I didn't find as many. And I was like, well, I think I might know why, you know, and that might be a little bit tougher for them. And I think that's why like the, you know, what kind of area is your facility and was on this list of questions, because I think that makes a huge difference. So,
You know, one thing to kind of add in is when everyone's looking at doing something similar to this, a lot of our members that have been members for years were very concerned, just like Y staff, of the equipment's going to get destroyed. When I come in the morning, it's not going to be as nice because it's not going to be cleaned. And once you are up and running within the first week or two, they start realizing it's not as scary to have the facility open after hours than what they thought it was going to be. The equipment's sometimes it's probably cleaner at times because the person coming in the morning does not have to do as much because members are taking care of picking up stuff throughout the night that they've seen that might have been left the night before. So it really just takes a few weeks for all your members to just get used to it. Hey, it's something new, but it's ready to go and they're happy with it.
Yeah, and that's a great point. You know, like Kevin or Jocelyn, did you all have any pushback from members that you can recall and how you handled it?
Yeah, we certainly did. We had those exact conversations was, you know, this place is going to get destroyed, that, you know, it's not going to be the same. And that, like you said, lasted about 2 weeks. And then they realized, okay, well, everything is great when I come in. So
Nice. Yeah, and yeah, Jocelyn, you've been doing it for a little bit longer, so it's like
yeah. But because we just have that singular room and we've closed it off really nicely, there was no concerns that I remember about, you know, people worrying about the rest of the building, or even like our openers coming in because they knew that door was locked, and it's not like there's anyone kind of walking about. So
yeah, that's great. I'm gonna switch gears a little bit. We're kind of nearing the end of our list of questions, but we're going to talk about marketing because that was also brought up. So I wanted to see if you all could share how you first started marketing to kind of get it out there, like maybe how early did you start marketing and how you did what you found successful. Jocelyn, I'll just go ahead and continue with you.
Sure. So as so I'm marketing director, membership and marketing director, and so, you know, it doesn't matter what you do. I will still have someone that walks in today and it's like, oh, you have 24/7? And it's like, yes, we have for 3 years. But again, it was a really large investment for us to make into our facility. So, you know, we did press releases, we invited the news, and then we started that project. You know, we started researching, I want to say in the fall of 2018, and everyone we talked to that already had a 24/7 facility said the only regret we have is that we didn't do it sooner. And so we hadn't had plans to open it in the spring. We were gonna, I think, even wait another year. And our CEO at the time was like, we need to make this happen as soon as possible. So there's some different things that I think I would have done as far as moving, because that room already existed with programming in it. And so we kind of took over that room and did construction before we had a plan for the programs that happened in that room. And so that got a little dicey. But as far as marketing, like I said, we did press releases, we invited the news. And then as soon as we started construction, we posted daily picture updates. This is what happened today. It was on the website, constantly on the Facebook, check back to this page to see the latest updates, making sure that people knew as soon as we decided that this was going to be included in membership was a big deal. We did raise rates a little bit. It really was nominal, maybe $1 for some membership types in 2019. And so we kind of combated that with, yeah, but you're going to get 24/7 access for nothing and you get to keep your towels. So that was a big deal too. And all the Y people know the point of contention with the towels. So there just was a lot of, we focused really heavily on building excitement for the opening of, and so I think it was April 28th, 26th, something like that. In 2019 we opened, and I think we had 4 people that used it, not, it wasn't like jam packed in there, but over time, we continue to build the excitement. Did you know that we have all our membership stuff now includes 24/7 access? And when our front desk signs members up, they, if they're 18 and older and, they're in good standing and have their photo and everything, they just automatically have them sign the waiver. And then at that time, they can have the conversation about, this is 24/7. This is what you have access to. So we do a lot on the front end then. So we don't have to do as much educating, obviously, as we did, but a lot of focus, if anyone is going to be going through this, is build the excitement on the front end. It was a big deal for the community. Here we have a Planet Fitness, which is 24/7, and we have one other privately owned gym on the other side of town, and that is 24/7. But it was pretty unique to have this offering for our organization. So make it as exciting as you can.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned your front desk will let members know when they come in about the membership or the 24/7 access. Are you still actively marketing, like in the community, or like still promoting it? I know like it's been a while, but are you still marketing it?
It's been a while. So like our first anniversary, was it the first anniversary? I think it was our first anniversary of opening that. We did a membership promotion built around that. So we've tried different things, but really if we're in the community now, only 3 years later, and 6 months of that, we weren't even allowed to use our facility. So 3 years later, people always say like, I love that 24/7 room you have. And so I think it's pretty well known now, especially with the police and fire and nurses and doctors and people that, you want in your building if something goes awry. So yeah.
Cool. Okay, awesome. Switch over to Charlie. Can you share about your marketing strategies?
Yeah, so our marketing was very similar, just to build the excitement amongst our members here. So we started off probably about 6 weeks before we knew we would be opening up for the 24/7 access with just basic flyers and stuff that were hanging throughout the facility, advertising 24/7, details to come, go ahead and get all of our 24/7 access signage up. So the more that we're down there, we're starting to see that 24/7 everywhere throughout the building. We also, being a smaller community and an older population, there's an AM and an FM station that we were talking about 24/7 a lot to kind of build that excitement in amongst the building. So that was a lot of our marketing of it. We only had to spend $5,000 total with cameras and everything. So we knew that we didn't have to spend a lot of money to make the changes. So our building was ready to go. So it was just, once we had those in, it was ready, and word of mouth travels pretty quick. What would we change? I've only been here a little over a year, but the ones that have been here said that they should have started this a long time ago. Planet Fitness is not reopened 24/7 here in this town. So that's helped us a lot because we're gaining a few additional members back that had switched to Planet Fitness when they opened up that are coming back because we have 24 hours now.
Nice. And are you still continuing to market the 24/7 access?
Just as new members come in. And then of course just sharing it as we can on social media, but gaining it through the new membership. It is a different crowd there at our facility in the evenings than it would be during the day. We're getting a lot younger crew using that 9 to midnight time frame than the older population.
Gotcha. Yeah, and Kevin, can you tell us about your marketing?
Sure. So when we first went 24 hours, or we're planning to go 24 hours, we were given a pretty tight deadline. Our CEO said, "Hey, by this date, I want this done." Unfortunately, what we ran into were supply shortages. So we had some trouble getting the scanner for the door and some of the parts that make the door actually unlock. We were told at one point there was one barcode reader in the country, and we couldn't have it. So that raised kind of a challenge for us as far as marketing, because we were ready to go, and we had to wait until we had a date. We ended up having about 4 days notice before we were able to start marketing to our members, which was huge. We did some coming soon. We have a big surprise coming soon. Something big is in the works. So that got excitement up. Word of mouth spread very quickly. We also did, once we were 24 hours, we put up some window clings. We're on a pretty busy street, so we're able to put up some big window clings on the outside of our building that stay now open 24 hours. We did some outdoor signage, like A-frame signs that went out on the roads as well, just so people could see that, the Y is 24 hours now. We continue just like the other branches. When people join, we tell them about 24 hours. And we also are using it for retention. So when somebody calls and they want to cancel, hey, I haven't had time to use the facility, we're telling them, hey, did you know we're 24 hours now? And that it's definitely saving a lot of memberships. It's, oh, I didn't know that. How do I do that? It's also been a benefit. We're part of an association, a six membership branch association. It's been a benefit for our other branches. So when somebody calls to cancel, hey, did you know that the Lake Anna branch is 24 hours now? And that often gets people to save their membership.
Yeah, that's awesome.
If I can add something quick too, I was just thinking about the marketing. We had, when we finally opened, we contacted our local Chamber of Commerce and did a ribbon cutting. And so I'm sure similar communities have chambers. They did a ribbon cutting. Their ambassadors came out. The CEO of the chamber came out, and it was a big to-do. And we had a party in our parking lot, and so people drive by and see that. And then we were really intentional about reaching out to our local hospital system and the first responders and the people that we thought would really benefit from 24/7. We were really intentional about, hey, can you share this with your employees? Because now, yes, Jocelyn may be the nurse who works second shift and only use 24/7, but she's going to join with her family and they're going to use it, the rest of the time. And so it was being really intentional about some of those conversations. And then one thing I did not mention, we all said it was our members that have access. For our Y, we're members of nationwide membership. And so, our members, we welcome members from other Ys all over, but our 24/7 is just for Dow Bay Area Family Y members. And so often we get, I know as membership director, we get caught up in like getting new members and how are we going to get new members? And I feel like this was a really big thanks to our current members, and a big advantage of being a member here at our facility is that there's no guests, there's no one from any other Ys. It's just for our members. And I think that means a lot to them as well. So.
Yeah, definitely. And with that, I wanted to ask too, for Charlie and Kevin, for your facilities too, is that similar, that it's only for like your branch members, or is it open?
It's only open to our facility.
Yeah.
Our membership's open to anybody in our association. We're paired very closely. We have 2 neighboring associations to us, 3 neighboring associations to us. So that is something we've converted some of their members into our members to be able to access 24 hours.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and so kind of wrapping up here, I think, Charlie and Jocelyn, you all touched on this, and I want to ask Kevin too, just like anything kind of going through the experience, is there anything that you would have changed during the rollout process, or just like a lesson that you can impart knowledge on anybody else who's thinking about going down the road? Oh yeah, and sorry, Kevin.
I would say don't be scared, just do it. You know,
Yeah.
we live in a world where everything's changing and now's the time. Don't be scared. I know I was personally worried about it and I didn't know what was going to happen. And it was the greatest thing we've ever done. Everybody we talked to, and Jocelyn even said, we wish we'd have done it sooner. I wish we would have done it sooner. You know, I can't even imagine how this would have helped us throughout COVID or other situations. Like, it's really, really helped our branch and it's been very beneficial.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. You know, Charlie, did you have anything to add on that?
No, I would say the same thing. I mean, if your facility can be a turnkey and I'll just have to do slight changes, talk to someone that's already done it. We can share all of our waivers, forms, stuff like that, signage to get you started and just go with it.
Awesome. Jocelyn, any last thing to add?
No, just what I had said before, you know, everything we know and we're taught in Y trainings about change management and leading people through change. We didn't follow necessarily to a T. Like I said, there was you know, I guess I'll be more specific. That room that existed, the community room, part of that is where we had spin class. And so in hindsight, I do feel bad. I feel really bad about displacing the spin class participants. They're a very loyal group and we moved them around a lot and they were not happy. And so, you know, part of this project, this 24/7 project, was we built a spin studio down in our lower level and they're still not thrilled about it. And so I do wish that maybe we would have done things in phases, maybe expanded first, made sure that some of those people that were in those programs had a home, and then open 24/7. But like I said, you know, everyone said, just don't wait. You know, the only regret I have is to not open it sooner. So we went for it and, you know, we worked our way through it and it's a great thing that we can offer now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very encouraging. Okay, let's see. I do know before we did have one question that came in. And so it was about facility access. So how do you address someone holding the 24/7 door open for somebody else? I know we kind of touched around this. Did anybody want to jump in and answer that question, how you handle it?
We have a kind of a canned email that we send to people that we see that happening with. We'll call them and email them and just say, I'm glad that you used 24/7. We hope you loved it. In reviewing footage from last night, we did see that you held the door open for someone. Here's a reminder of the things that you agreed to when you signed the waiver, because that's in the waivers that I'm not going to let anyone in. And so you kind of just lay it out that way. And normally people are like, oh, well, I saw Judy and she didn't have her card and I knew she was a member, but, you know, so we just explain to people, like, you may think that, you know, Kevin is a member today, but maybe he did something to get his membership revoked, you know, and so you think he's a member, but maybe he's not. So it's just telling members, like, just think about things like that before you do it.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for answering that. I don't see any more questions in, and we are like perfectly on time. So thank you all for filling this space and answering all these great questions. I personally learned a lot. I'm ready to open my own 24/7 access facility. No, but thank you all again to any of the viewers. This will be on demand, so we'll be sharing that probably in the morning. And Jocelyn, I'll get with you to get some photos so we can also share some visuals of like what that looks like. And then, you know, for anybody else viewing, if you have further questions, just reach out. We'll get those answered for you. So I appreciate you all. Thank you and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for hosting.
Thank you. Bye.